In today's episode, I'm going to share with you the 5 skills that you need to have in order to stand any chance of finding success as a day trader or enjoying the financial independence that comes with success as a day trader. Right now, I'm trading and filming this episode from Mexico. This morning, on my laptop, in a hotel room, looking out over the beach, I logged up $47,000 in trading profits. Now, I'll say right now that my results are not typical. It took me a long time to get here. But you know what they say about trading? Success in trading is a combination of strategy, first and foremost, but you don't want to underestimate the importance of mindset and your natural aptitudes that you bring to the table. I'm going to share with you the 5 skills that you need to have, which I don't think can be compensated for by having a great strategy. Strategy is important, but there are some hard skills that you need to bring to the table. So here's the deal. I'll share with you my strategy. I'll share with you the 5 skills that I think you need to have. If you could bring those to the table, that's where the magic happens. So let's go ahead and dive in with the first skill that you need to have. And a skill that's easy for me to overlook or perhaps not mention, but it is very important. And that's your computer skill. So let me put it to you this way. Every single day when you're showing up to trade, what are you using? You're trading on the computer. Now, some people may use their mobile phone to trade, but that's not something I'm going to recommend if you're trying to really take this seriously. So if you're taking it seriously and you're trading on the computer, your ability to use that computer as an extension of your mind, to be able to have the hand-eye coordination that as soon as you see something on the computer, such as a big order on the bid or green on the level 2, or you see a stock that meets all of the criteria of stock selection. Now I have 5 specific criteria that I'll share with you at the end of this episode. But when you see all of that line up, you want to be able to act in real time. It's easy for us to take for granted our computer skills for those of us who have it and who have been using computers for pretty much our whole life. But I've met a number of people who are in different periods of their own life. Maybe they're retiring from a job they've had for the last 30, 40 years, and they didn't have to use a computer on that job. And so when they're sitting down to type, they're typing like this. So I don't want to say that, I'm not sure what the minimum computer proficiency level is for success at trading, but I think if you want to trade the markets quickly, you don't want to be hung up by your inability to use the tool. They say that it's a poor carpenter who blames his tool, right? So you and 5 other people that have the same computer, the same exact software, but if you don't know how to use it, if you don't know how to harness it, then your outcomes and results will be very different. So I think inability, number 1, to be able to type without looking at the keys is an asset. It's going to help you move in and out of stocks faster. And the reason is a lot of those of us who are active traders, a lot of us are actually scripting orders to specific keys. And so one of the things that I did to help me practice getting better at this muscle memory was I would sit on my laptop. I would sit with my laptop. I wasn't sitting on top of it. I would sit with my laptop on my lap at night watching TV. The computer was off, and I would just practice typing, and I would practice hitting my hotkeys. Shift 1, Shift 2, Control Z, the different keys that I'd scripted to different orders. And I just did that night after night after night. It's like learning to play the guitar and learning chords. It's a muscle memory. It's just the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. But it's something that there's definitely a minimal level of proficiency that you're going to need with computers in order to find success trading. You need to be able to type quickly, and you need to be able to know how to install software. You need to know how to uninstall software. You need to know how to go to your task manager and force quit software that's malfunctioning and not working correctly, and then relaunch it. You need to know how to use your Wi-Fi to switch networks, because trading is hard enough without struggling because you're not understanding how to use the software correctly. That's what just an unnecessary hurdle. So if you're already bringing the skill set of strong computer proficiency to the table, that's just like one check off the list. Now let's talk about the second one. Emotional regulation, the ability to have an awareness of your emotions and to be someone who is generally in control of their emotions. So what does that mean? Well, we've probably all seen, it's always a guy, but we've all seen the guy in public that totally loses his temper. He flips a table or he throws a soda or, he's just totally losing it. And I mean, we've all been there where we felt like doing that. The difference between feeling like doing that and actually doing that is where that emotional regulation comes into place, where you know how to calm yourself down. Because here's the thing with trading. With trading, you will get kicked in the teeth. And look, it's happened to me. Even today, I had it as I was working my way up today. I got myself to $27,000 on the day to $33,000 on the day. And then boom, I lost $4,000. Now, okay, $4,000 off the top. That's, it's a little more than 10% of the profit, but it didn't feel good. I wasn't happy about it, but I didn't let the feeling of that frustration turn into me acting on that emotion. And that's really the big thing. Trading, we're human. We're not robots. We're going to have emotion, but the difference is, do you have the emotional intelligence and self-awareness not to act on those emotions? And so one of the things that has helped me build this skill, now some of the skills I talk about in this episode may not be skills that you're currently meeting, 100%. Maybe your computer proficiency is, 80% of what you'd like it to be. And that's okay. You can work to improve it just like I work to improve mine by practicing on the keyboard at night. Emotional regulation is similar. So if you're someone who currently struggles with that, maybe you're great in all aspects of life, but when it comes to trading, you find yourself getting emotional, giving into those emotional impulses. Next thing you know, you're spiraling, you're averaging down, the losses are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you're that type of person, here's a technique that I'm going to share with you that I think will really help. You can go on YouTube and you can search for mindfulness meditation on discipline. Do meditations on discipline, because what it's going to teach you is to recognize the thought, the urge, and the impulse, and to separate the thought from the behavior. So if you can add a little speed bump between having that thought of, oh, I should get back in this stock, I should double down, I should average down. You put just a little speed bump between having that thought and acting on it. That can be your moment where you can intervene. Now, look, I'm going to be honest. It takes a lot of work to get good at this. It takes your dedication to want to get better if it's something you struggle with. I think the motivation to get better is that for some people, it can be the difference between success and failure in trading. So there's a lot of good reasons for you to try to get better at it. But to try to get better, to try to develop that just immediate recognition of, I'm having this feeling, I'm having this emotion, it's time to intervene. That intervention is so critical. Because when I look back at some of the biggest red days I've ever had, I often think to myself, I wish I had walked away, right here. And so that's where I needed that speed bump. Now, one of the things that I've done in my own trading is I've gotten really good at kind of recognizing the profile of those big red days. And so since I know the profile, I can start to recognize in real time that, wait a second, things are starting to look like today is matching the profile of a potential big red day. And that brings me to the third skill, which is situational awareness. Have you ever seen the video of someone walking down the street? They're looking at their phone and then they just step right into traffic and get hit by a car, or they walk right into a telephone pole, or they walk through a plate glass window. Whenever I see that, I'm thinking this person is lacking situational awareness. Now, being here in Mexico, situational awareness is something that I am thinking about. It's good to kind of keep your head on a swivel and be aware of what's going on around you. And in trading, it's very important. So situational awareness in the first instance is if you recognize the profile of a red day. And for me, a red day typically starts with a losing trade. It often leads to a second losing trade and a third losing trade. So if I have 3 red trades back to back to back, my situational awareness should be telling me, Ross, there's a really good chance today is going to be a red day. And if it's going to be a red day, what I know about my red days is that my accuracy is like 40% on red days. And usually, as I keep trading, I dig the hole deeper and deeper and deeper. So the right thing for me to do is to really admit defeat as quickly as possible, to batten down the hatches, and not to overstay my welcome. That's good situational awareness, to say, you know what, today feels like it's going to be a red day. It's looking like a red day. I'm going to stop here before the day gets worse. I'll give you another example. I have a dog who she's a mutt. I think she would have been a great junkyard dog. Unfortunately, I don't have a junkyard. She's very protective. And so if I'm walking with her on the street and I see a couple or whoever it is coming with their own dog, I'm going to walk to the other side of the street because my situational awareness is saying, I see a potential conflict coming and I'm going to avoid it. There's no reason to put myself in this unnecessary place. But with trading, I feel like so many people get headstrong and they get stubborn and they refuse to accept that today's not going to be the day. And so they just push through. And next thing you know, they dig the hole deeper and deeper and deeper. But the situational awareness also comes in the form of being able to know when to put the pedal to the metal when the market's hot, when things are heating up and we've got some great action. That's the time. If there was ever a time to take more risk, to lean in, to double down, and to take your trading to the next level. That's why I'm up $47,000 today. Again, I'll say it. My results aren't typical, but I'm someone who's been doing this for long enough that I had the situational awareness to know when to throttle up, when to put the pedal to the metal, and when to ease off the throttle, to batten down my hatches and wait for the storm to clear. The fourth skill that you need to bring to the table is your personal drive. You need to be very self-motivated. You have to come to the table wanting to improve your computer efficiency, to improve your emotional regulation, to improve your situational awareness, to get really good at this thing. Now, I think that you have to be careful that your motivation isn't just making a lot of money. I think that some people are very money motivated and just dangling the money in front of them of like, this is how much I could make, it's going to work. But I think for a lot of people, it's important to have a deeper meaning. And so a deeper purpose. And so when I think about the purpose for me, when I got into trading, yes, I had a goal of a certain amount of money that I was going to make. But what was that money going to achieve? For me, in my 20s, after my father had passed away, it was the middle of the Great Recession. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. For me, making a couple $100 a day in the market bought me the freedom to not have to work 40 hours a week doing a job I hated. It bought me the freedom to have time to think about what I really wanted to do with my life. Now, as it turned out for me, I found the puzzle of the market, trying to solve that puzzle each day and pulling a little bit of profit out, to be so stimulating, to be so exciting that it became my whole world. It became the thing that I'm an expert at. It became what I absolutely love. And so I ended up fully immersing myself into this world with writing books about trading and teaching classes about trading and everything else. Now, I may be the exception there. Other people may not get that passionate about trading. I've known other people who their real passion is art, for just as one example. And what they really liked about trading was that it helped, in a way, subsidize them being able to continue to pursue their art, because a lot of people, especially when they're getting started as an artist, aren't making a lot of money. So if you can make a couple $100 a day trading, right, then you could spend the rest of the day building that side of your career. That can work really well. And so some people approach trading as, this is something that's going to help bridge me until I get to this certain level of success in my career, whatever that might be. For other people, it's a transition away from that 9 to 5 that they've been doing for a long time. Everyone comes to it with a little bit of different experience and different perspective. But I want you to think about what's going to motivate you to get up early, to study the market, to stay up late, or to spend time on the weekends when you could do something else. Now, when I was in my 20s, as a teenager, I used to play video games a lot. And you know what's really interesting? I never made a conscientious decision that I was going to stop playing video games. But when I got into trading, I stopped playing video games. And for me, this isn't true for every trader, but for me, I just found that the time I was spending playing video games, I would rather spend that time practicing in a simulator. That for me was a game that was more rewarding, because if I was successful at it, I would make money. And so I found that because I found this thing I was so excited about, I just wanted to work on it. And so, I'm here in Mexico and I was out on the beach, and this kid comes up to me. He's 6 years old. Well, I found this out later. And he said, "Are you a millionaire?" And I was really kind of taken aback by it, because not every day you're getting questioned by a 6-year-old of, your net worth. And so I said, well, I didn't answer the question. I said, I'll tell you something. More important than how much you make is finding something that you love. because then every day when you go to work, it doesn't feel like work because you love it so much. And he walked away. He seemed disappointed in my answer. I guess that's what everyone says, just not a millionaire. And of course, I am a millionaire, but I did give him the answer he wanted. But it really is so important to find that purpose of something that you love, that you're excited to wake up and do. And trading for me is that. And I think for a lot of people who find success in trading, it is that as well. Because you could sort of sense like, wow, if I can figure this out, it's a really big deal. All right, so let's talk about the fifth skill that you need to bring to the table. And that is discipline. Dedication, discipline, and drive. Discipline is so important. I can't say it enough. Now, discipline does tie back into emotional regulation. When I see someone who's blowing off the handle and, losing their temper and smashing stuff, you may not think it, but this is someone who's obviously not a very disciplined person. Certainly in those moments, they're letting themselves have these huge reactions. And in trading, we see it a lot. Someone will have a loss, and the next thing you know, they're spiraling. And they're getting so angry, and they're revenge trading, and they're doubling down, and the loss is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's not okay. So I had a really great interview I did with one of my students at Warrior Trading. His name is Jess. He's got right now his $1.5 million badge. And I'll say his results aren't typical either. He's been doing this for quite a while. But one of the things I asked him, I said, what was your turning point? And he said, I didn't have like a light bulb went on turning point. He said, for me, I had some, beginner's luck when I started trading. I made some money, I lose some money. And he said, it just kind of seemed like I would go up and then back down. And I'd go up and then back down. And the only thing I needed in order to just be making money was to screw up less frequently. And if I could just space out those losses a little bit more, that was the difference between just going up and down to being break even and actually making progress. Now, you don't want to underestimate how important it is to be even just a break even trader. It's not just a break even trader. If you're break even, you're keeping your head above water. You're proving that you know how to make money. Now, unfortunately, you're giving back money as well, which is why you're break even. But if you could space out how frequently you're having those big losses, that can be a turning point. And maybe, it's not a very clear to the day turning point, but that can be where things start to pull away. So how do we space out those losses? Well, for a lot of us, those losses are the result of a lack of discipline on those specific days. So we look at that day and it's like, I didn't sleep well. I was frustrated about something else going on in my life. And next thing you know, I'm in full size, a low quality setup. Why would I do that? Maybe I thought if I just have a big winner, I'll feel better about myself, right? Sometimes we go into the market seeking emotion without realizing it. The comfort of a big winner can make everything feel better. And that can be really dangerous when you're starting to seek emotion, because all of a sudden you realize the market doesn't care how you feel. The market will provide opportunities and you can trade them the right way, or you could trade low quality setups and you can lose money. So you really have to have that. That almost ties back into situational awareness, but also sort of emotional regulation of having that self-awareness of, is this the market right now that I should be aggressive? And am I mentally in the right headspace to be aggressive? So today, for instance, when I started the day, from my first trade until I was up about $27,000, I was taking max position of 5,000 shares, which is 1/4 of my full-size position. Now, in hindsight, I wish I had traded with bigger size because maybe I would have made a lot more. But what I was saying to myself was, look, you are on, after all, your traveling trading station. You're in Mexico. You don't want to do something crazy. And God forbid you lose your internet in the middle of a trade and you lose 60 grand. So let's take calculated risk, accommodating for some of the situational awareness that, of where I'm at and everything else. And that was the right move. It's okay to do that. But if a lot of beginner traders, they don't have that. Or if they start to recognize that they don't yet have the discipline to follow through with that gut feeling. So getting better at trusting your gut is important. But naturally, as a beginner trader, your intuition is not great. So your intuition will get better with more experience. So the biggest thing I can say for improving your discipline is to do that practice of meditation, mindfulness, guided meditations on discipline. I think that is phenomenal. And continue to gain experience by practicing as much as you can in a simulator, of course, and then with real money. And actively thinking about what are my triggers and setting guardrails on your trading. Now, nobody's going to win the Tour de France with training wheels on, but as you're getting started, these guardrails are important because they help you from having a big screw up. When you take these 5 skills and you combine them with a strategy that is proven profitable and back tested, that's when things get really exciting. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to put a link, I'm going to pin it to the top of the comments and put it in the description where you can download my small account strategy as a PDF resource. You can print it out and you can start practicing it on your own right now. But as always, I encourage you to practice in the trading simulator before you put real money on the line. I will also include with that download my 5 pillars of stock selection so you can start learning how to identify the stocks with the highest potential to make big moves. I'm the type of trader that focuses on volatility. I focus on trading breaking news, and I'll walk you through my criteria for stock selection in that download. If you enjoyed today's episode, give it a thumbs up. I hope you can subscribe to the channel. I'll see you for the next upload real soon. And I want to remind you, as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so please manage your risk and take it slow.